Let's start at the top. The top here is for your spool of thread and your bobbin winder. Now, your bobbin is just a small spool of thread that goes underneath your presser foot and your needle. And we'll get to that. The thread from that bobbin makes up the bottom portion of your stitch, while the thread from the big spool up top makes up the top portion. And what the machine does is it basically locks those two threads together inside the fabric. And bobbins last a really long time. And by that I mean, when you wind up a bobbin with black thread, you're probably gonna use that same black bobbin on 10, 12, maybe even like 15 different alterations before it runs out. So for that reason, you're not winding a new bobbin every 5 minutes. You might make one black one white one, maybe a navy one, and that's gonna cover the majority of the clothes that you're gonna alter in your closet. Or you could be like me and just not care and use like black or white thread on pretty much everything. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna stop you in the grocery store, flip your shirt inside out and be like, oh, interesting, you used white thread on that red t-shirt. So when you aren't winding a bobbin, you could basically pretend that this little thing here, it doesn't even exist. But do make sure that it's pushed in the correct direction. It's kind of like the clutch of a car. It disengages your sewing machine, so the motor is gonna run, it's gonna spin, but it's not gonna be doing anything. This is your spool of thread. So you put the spool onto this little post here, and then you put the cap on the end so the spool doesn't go flying off the end when your machine starts moving. And yes, that can happen. Ask me how I know. Actually, no, don't ask me. Just subscribe. Now, there's one small detail here that can save you from becoming extremely annoyed. A lot of thread spools have a tiny little notch cut into one end. That notch is there so you can secure the loose end of the thread when you're storing that spool. And it's great for storage, but it's terrible for sewing. So when you put the thread onto the machine, make sure that that notch is facing away from the direction the thread is being pulled. Because if the notch is facing the wrong direction, the thread can catch inside that little notch while the spool is spinning, and everything's gonna look fine for like 6 seconds, and then the thread's gonna get stuck and it's gonna go snap. And then you rethread the entire thing, you try again, and it snaps again. And then you start questioning why this ridiculously charismatic guy on YouTube makes DIY tailoring seem so easy. The problem isn't you, it's the thread. And more specifically, that tiny little notch. Now, we're gonna get to one of the parts that intimidates almost every beginner. How do you actually thread this thing? Well, funnily enough, sewing machine companies know that people have absolutely no idea what they're doing, so they make it ridiculously easy for us. Most machines are gonna put numbers directly onto the machine, showing you every step. You start at number 1, pull the thread through the first guide, follow it down towards number 2, bring it around, pull it back up, and continue following the arrows. Now, the only part that can get slightly confusing is that your take-up lever, the small little metal hook that grabs the thread near the front of your machine, that needs to be raised when you're threading it. And to raise it, turn the hand wheel on the side of your machine towards you until you see the take-up lever kind of poking its head up there at its highest position. Bring that needle up, follow the numbered path, slide the thread through the eye of the needle, and then, let's see, wait, hold on a sec here. Then you're done. And just like that, you've mastered the top of a sewing machine. Now let's move to the front here. This is where all the settings live, and this can usually be the part that makes people think that a sewing machine is way more complicated than it really is. You see a bunch of symbols and numbers and knobs and buttons and pictures of stitches going in 17 different directions, and you're looking at it like, yo, what the F am I doing? Well, the great thing is the fundamental concept of almost every single sewing machine made in the last 100 years has barely changed. The machine is basically asking you 3 questions. What type of stitch do you want to make? How long do you want that stitch to be? And how wide? And because we just want to take our crappy clothes and make them not look crappy on us, there are only 2 stitches that we care about: the straight stitch and the zigzag stitch. Now, the straight stitch is exactly what it sounds like. The needle is gonna move straight up and down while the fabric travels underneath it, creating a new straight line of stitches. And it's that stitch right there that's gonna make your garment look so much better on you. Let's say your t-shirt is too wide. You're gonna turn that t-shirt inside out, pin up all that extra fabric along the side there, and then just sew a new straight stitch line a little bit further inward. That new line is that new side seam, and suddenly that shirt, yep, it looks fantastic. And the same idea works on pants. If your pants are too wide from the knee down, you turn them inside out, mark a new line, and sew along that line with a straight stitch. The zigzag stitch has a little bit of a different job, because after you sew that new straight stitch and cut away the extra fabric, you're left with a raw edge. Now, depending on the material, that raw edge can start fraying on you, which means you're gonna have little threads start pulling loose from there. Now, the zigzag stitch is gonna help contain that raw edge, because in addition to the needle moving up and down as you sew along that garment, the needle is also gonna travel from from side to side, which is going to make an overlapping zigzag pattern on that edge. And that zigzag pattern is what's going to help hold all those little loose fibers in there. Straight stitch creates that new stitch, and the zigzag stitch cleans up all that extra fabric we got. That's the harmonious partnership they have going on. Straight stitch first, trim the extra fabric, zigzag stitch that raw edge. Nice and taut like a toiga. Now let's talk a little bit about the stitch length, because for most basic alterations, you're going to set your stitch length to about 2.5. Hey, okay, what does 2.5 mean? Well, that number is going to represent the approximate length of each individual stitch in millimeters, and if we want to replicate how our clothes look from the factory, which is 2.5 millimeters in length, we're going to set our sewing machine to, well, 2.5. It's long enough to feed smoothly through most fabrics, but short enough to create a nice secure seam, and at the end of the day, you don't really need to overthink it because we set it to 2.5 and we pretty much never touch it ever again. Now, question number 3. How wide do you want that stitch to be? Well, for the zigzag stitch, this matters because the stitch width is going to control how far the needle travels from side to side. And if you're finishing a raw edge, you usually want to use a zigzag stitch that's wide enough to grab the fabric securely on both sides without creating any kind of like massive lightning bolt pattern. Something around like 3 to 4 is usually a reasonable starting point. Your exact machine may vary slightly, but the general idea is the same. You want the needle to land inside the fabric on one side of the zigzag and off of the fabric on the other side. You're coming on the fabric and off, on and off. Now let's move down to the very bottom. This is where all that fancy magic is gonna happen. You've got your needle, your presser foot, your feed dogs, and that bobbin underneath that metal plate there that we discussed earlier. The thread from the top spool goes through the needle, the bobbin thread comes up from underneath, and when the needle pushes through that fabric, the machine catches the top thread around the bobbin thread and locks them together like ebony and ivory. This piece right here is your presser foot. Now your presser foot lowers onto the fabric and it holds it against the machine. And there's most likely a lever right next to it or behind it that is going to allow you to move it up and down. So before you start sewing, lower that presser foot, because if you forget, the fabric's not gonna feed correctly. Down here are your feed dogs. Now these little metal teeth move up and down underneath the fabric. The presser foot holds the garment down while the feed dogs grab the bottom of the fabric and move it away from you. Those two parts work together. And this is important because when you're sewing, you're not doing any kind of pushing or pulling of your garment at all. You're not forcing it. Those feed dogs, that's their job. The pedal works pretty much like a gas pedal in a car. You press it lightly and the machine moves slowly. And you press it all the way down and the machine takes off like it's a Chevy Cruze, which needless to say means that it's got a slipping transmission and it ain't going nowhere. Go slow enough so that you can stay on your line. Speed comes from naturally getting better at this and getting enough reps in. When you start or finish a seam, use the reverse button or the reverse lever on your machine to make what's called a back stitch. You're going to sew forward by a couple of stitches. You're going to press and hold that back stitch lever. It's going to sew backwards by just a couple stitches and then continue forward. When you reach the end, do the exact same thing. That's gonna lock your seam in so those stitches don't disintegrate on you in the washing machine. That right there is literally enough information for you to alter all of the clothes in your closet. Let's go put these skills to the test and let's go learn how to alter a dress shirt. It's in the next video. I will see you over there. SD out. See ya.